In a landmark decision, the Supreme Court has struck down President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, marking a pivotal moment in the ongoing debate over the limits of executive authority in the United States. This ruling stands as a significant check on executive overreach, reminding the nation that even the president's powers are not without boundaries. The tariffs, which were imposed under the justification of a national emergency, have had far-reaching consequences for everyday Americans. Across the country, families have felt the pinch as prices soared on essential goods, from groceries to household items, making it harder for many to make ends meet. The court's decision goes beyond economics. It addresses a fundamental constitutional issue, the separation of powers that underpins American democracy. During deliberations, the justices questioned whether a law designed for genuine emergencies could be stretched to grant the president sweeping, unilateral authority to wage trade wars and impose tariffs without congressional approval. By invalidating the legal foundation of these tariffs, the court has made it clear that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act was never intended to serve as a blank check for the executive branch to impose taxes or disrupt trade at will. This decision is more than a legal technicality. It is a resounding victory for constitutional order, reaffirming the principle that the power to tax and regulate commerce is vested in Congress, not the president. While the damage from the tariffs has already been felt, higher prices, disrupted supply chains, and uncertainty for businesses and consumers alike, the court's intervention offers hope for a return to stability. International relationships have also been strained, as trading partners responded with their own tariffs and diplomatic tensions escalated, threatening America's standing on the global stage. Now, with the primary legal obstacle removed, businesses and policymakers can begin the difficult work of rebuilding trust, restoring supply chains, and stabilizing prices for American families. The Supreme Court's ruling sends a clear message: economic policy cannot be dictated by presidential whim or unchecked executive action. Instead, it must be guided by the rule of law and the constitutional framework that ensures accountability. By reasserting that the power to tax and regulate commerce belongs to Congress, the court has reinforced the checks and balances that are essential to American democracy, safeguarding the nation from future overreach and preserving the integrity of its institutions. At the center of this legal and political drama is the Trump administration's bold and controversial interpretation of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. This decades-old law was originally designed to give presidents the authority to respond swiftly to extraordinary threats from abroad, such as terrorism or hostile foreign governments, by imposing targeted economic sanctions. But in this case, the administration sought to stretch IEEPA's reach far beyond its traditional boundaries. Historically, IEEPA has been a tool for imposing focused sanctions on specific individuals, companies, or even entire countries. However, the Trump administration attempted to repurpose this emergency authority to justify sweeping tariffs on a wide range of imported goods, arguing that economic threats justified such drastic action. Yet the U.S. Constitution is explicit: the power to levy taxes and tariffs and to regulate commerce is vested in Congress, not the president. This foundational principle ensures that no single branch can unilaterally control the nation's economic policy. When the administration argued that tariffs were simply regulatory tools under IEEPA, the courts pushed back. Judges across multiple levels rejected this interpretation, emphasizing that such a move would undermine the careful balance of powers established by the framers. If a president could use IEEPA to impose tariffs at will, it would effectively erase Congress's constitutional authority over the nation's purse strings, setting a dangerous precedent for unchecked executive power. During oral arguments, Supreme Court justices expressed deep skepticism about using emergency powers as a backdoor for trade wars. Their questions made clear that while emergency powers are important, they are not, and should never be, limitless. The court's ruling ultimately restores the delicate balance between the executive and legislative branches, sending a powerful reminder that Congress is not a subordinate, but a co-equal branch of government with its own vital responsibilities. The administration's attempt to bypass the democratic process and sidestep congressional authority has failed, reinforcing the importance of checks and balances in American democracy. In defending Congress's role, the court has protected a cornerstone of American governance, ensuring that no president can unilaterally reshape the nation's economic landscape. This decision stands as a straightforward act of constitutional maintenance, A necessary reminder that the rule of law and the separation of powers remain at the heart of the American system. President Trump's reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling was predictably defiant. On Truth Social, he unleashed falsehoods, claiming tariffs were essential to prevent national ruin. He vowed to appeal the unappealable, perpetuating the lie that tariffs are paid by foreign countries. The White House maintained a defiant tone, insisting on an ultimate victory despite the court's ruling. This refusal to acknowledge reality reveals a dangerous contempt for the rule of law. The narrative spun is that judges are sabotaging prosperity when the court is preventing economic self-harm. This rhetoric polarizes the nation and undermines democratic institutions. Trump's tariffs have hit American wallets hard, raising the cost of living for millions of families across the country. What might sound like a distant policy debate in Washington has real, everyday consequences for people trying to make ends meet. From groceries to household goods, prices have climbed, squeezing budgets and forcing tough decisions at the checkout line. Tariffs are paid by importers, but those costs don't just disappear, they're passed along to consumers in the form of higher prices. This ripple effect worsens inflation, making it harder for families to afford the basics. Every trip to the store becomes a reminder of how trade policy can hit home. According to the Yale Budget Lab, the average American household is now paying an extra $2,400 each year because of these tariffs. That's money that could have gone toward rent, savings, or even a family vacation, now eaten up by higher costs on everyday items. And the burden isn't shared equally. This regressive tax hits lower-income families the hardest, since they spend a larger share of their income on essentials. For many, it means cutting back on meals, skipping medications, or relying on food banks just to get by. Grocery prices have surged, and families are forced to make difficult choices between essentials like fresh produce, milk, or even basic household supplies. The impact is felt in every aisle, every week. This policy treats trade as a zero-sum game, where someone must lose for another to win. But in reality, it's American consumers who end up as collateral damage, paying the price for political decisions made far from their homes. Domestic producers can't ramp up production overnight to fill the gap left by pricier imports. That means shortages, empty shelves, and even job losses in industries that rely on global supply chains. In the meantime, consumers are left with fewer choices and higher bills. The Supreme Court's recent ruling marks what could be the beginning of the end for this damaging policy. It's a signal that change is possible, and that relief may be on the horizon for struggling families. The economic pain so many are feeling isn't a bug in the system, it's the system working exactly as designed. These policies were meant to be tough, but it's ordinary Americans who have paid the price. Now, with the Supreme Court's decision, there's hope that American households can finally begin to recover from this failed economic experiment and look forward to a future with more stability and opportunity. The tariffs have cast a shadow over the U.S. economy, stalling growth. Businesses face higher costs, disrupted supply chains, and uncertainty. The tariffs have isolated the U.S., with countries pausing postal services. Retaliation from trading partners has devastated American exporters. Farmers have lost access to crucial markets, requiring taxpayer-funded bailouts. The tariffs shattered trust in the global trading system. Rebuilding trust will be a monumental task for future administrations. The Supreme Court's ruling dismantles the legal basis for tariffs. The economic and diplomatic wreckage will take years to clear. The ruling offers a chance to rebuild and restore global relationships. Economists agree. Trump's tariffs are destructive. They're attacks on citizens, suppressing economic activity. The administration ignored expert warnings about protectionism's folly. The tariffs have led to higher prices, lower investment, and slower growth. Even conservative voices criticize the tariffs as misguided. The data shows more jobs lost than saved, confirming economists' predictions. The Supreme Court's ruling aligns with the economic consensus. The trade war has been a costly failure, making Americans poorer. With the Supreme Court's ruling, the tariffs are dead. Unwinding these taxes will be complex, but recovery can begin. Importers will seek refunds, posing fiscal challenges for the government. Prices won't fall overnight, but the ruling removes economic constraints. This moment demands a reckoning on trade policy and presidential power. The Trump administration shattered the bipartisan consensus on open trade. We need a reality-based conversation on engaging with the global economy. Congress must reform laws to prevent abuse of emergency powers. The court has provided a backstop, but Congress must reclaim authority. The ruling offers a chance to rebuild trade relationships and constitutional processes.